Hello, my name is Alessandro Rivolo, and I will be doing this presentation on quiet quitting. So, what is quiet quitting? Basically, quiet quitting refers to an employee who does no more than the bare minimum or what is required for their job to do their job. And, with doing the minimum, these employees don't really feel the need to go above and beyond. And that could be for either personal reasons or just because, like, it was stated in their job title. They're just doing what is required of them for the job. So quiet quitting is, I wouldn't say it's relatively new, but it's been around for quite some time now, and with it growing in popularity, it's just something that I feel should be addressed more by not only HR but organizations as a whole, and learn how to identify it as well as how to approach it. So, why is quiet quitting important? It is important to recognize who is actually still doing their job and who is doing the bare minimum to keep their job. Now, I know that might sound confusing, but basically what I'm referring to is like who are the employees that want to keep on going further and who are the employees that just want to be there, or I guess not necessarily want to be there, but are there because they just want a paycheck and they want to do their job and nothing more. For example, somebody at a 9 to 5, they'll start at 9 and they'll quit at 5. They won't keep on going afterwards. They're just done at 5. They are like, okay, that's my shift. I'm done. Um, it mostly applies to white collar jobs, and by white collar jobs, I mean office jobs, management jobs, anything that is really like more, I guess you could say professional, but you could definitely see it in other industries as well. It's not just exclusive to white collar jobs. It's just that's, I would say, the most common place to see it, and not going above and beyond without additional pay is what people would say quiet quitting is like contributing it to, because from one of my resources, what is quiet quitting is like they talked about them being expected to do more and not getting paid to do more, so they don't feel as motivated to do it. And some managers can see it as lazy or employees being losers, but it's like those are the people that are working for you, so I don't feel like that should be the best way to approach them. And I got that from another source as well. Why Gen Z is quiet quitting. So the evolution of quiet quitting, I feel like we all saw the evolution of quiet quitting during the pandemic, just because of TikTok, social media apps like YouTube as well as Instagram. But it's been around since 2009 by this guy named Mark Bolger, who talked about it briefly in Forbes magazine. And basically, you know, like I said, it's been around, you could say forever, I guess. But, it really just started evolving with Gen Z, which is, I believe, the mid 90s to early, like to mid 2000s, where it's like the generation that grew up without knowing what it was like to live without the internet. So, these group of individuals, they don't want to be like their parents, keep on working a job and not really find it satisfactory for them. Like they don't want to keep on doing more work that is required for them, and they want to find a balance. So I feel like that's why quiet quitting evolves so much. um, so I got some other resources from HR professionals that I had actually talked to about the subject. And one HR professional that I worked with at a grocery store told me that it was more of a managerial issue, that they didn't really deal with it, and it was not really her place to get involved, which I could respect that. And she just said that she asked me for opinions on what I should do, and I was like, well, honestly, you have to identify the problem first and approach it how you feel is best for both you and the employee. And then another HR professional, which gave me some pretty good insight, is they told me that in order to kind of limit the amount of quiet quitting, they would move workers around to other positions and find them a crew that would better suit them, just because they wanted to keep them on. Or I guess you could say worst case scenario, they wouldn't fire them, but they would wait until it was slow season and they would just lay them off. And they only kept the people who would put in more than enough effort to be at their job. Now, current thinking on the topic, one of my sources said brown and black people are less likely to do it, just because you could say politics or racial issues is like they are seen as um, it's a really touchy issue, honestly. But they just said like they don't feel as entitled to do it because they feel like they're risking more of their job on the line. And also people who are ambitious, they don't really want to quiet quit because they want to progress their career, you know. And also taking feedback from employees more seriously. What could be improved? What, like, how could you make your employees feel more comfortable, more motivated to be at work? And you know, it's also very difficult for managers to distinguish between people who are lazy and who are quiet quitting, because both of them could be doing the bare minimum but still getting their job done. And somebody might just be lazy and they just put it off to the last minute. Somebody's quiet quitting where they can do it, but they're just doing that. They're just doing their job. And companies expect workers to go above and beyond, even if it's not in their contract, because when you sign for a company or you get a job, it states what you're supposed to be doing, and if it's not in there, it's like, well, why would I do more than that? For HR, there's a few things that I found very interesting, but basically, people need a job to meet their needs. If a manager provides performance information that could be worked on, that is very beneficial. Also, there's individual incentives, and are still more for jobs as well as individual motivation. So finding the right motivation for the employee and the employer. Variable pay is, I feel like it's something that's not really going to benefit the employee when it comes to quiet quitting, because, well, it's a variable pay thing. It's like, how are we going to pay them more when they're doing the bare minimum to do their job? Like, they're not going above and beyond. So, because they could also like redesign work, and tie in as well, like those intangible rewards, like supportive work environment, making the employee feel more encouraged to actually do their job. Well, I guess to do more of their job, like help other people out as well, than just doing the bare minimum, you could say. And there's also like, you can't take away the benefits from these people just because they're doing the bare minimum, because they're still doing their job at the end of the day, and because they are entitled to those benefits. So, when it comes to HR, there's a lot of things that stood out to me, but these were the ones that I feel like are most important for this project. So, in conclusion, HR should provide principles to the managers to help them deal with the situations, communicate with the managers what can be done. And also, I think it could be tricky to identify who or what the problems are when it comes to quiet quitting. If it's an employee thing, if it's an organization thing, it's just, I feel like even though it is more of an individual thing, it can still tie into an organization where it's like, well, I don't have much to do, so I'm only going to do my job. Why should I keep on looking forward to doing more work, right? And like I said, Gen Z is like the main driver in this one, where they don't want to end up like their parents. And these are my references. Thank you so much for watching my video.